Chapter 1029, Universe Overlords Translator, Myoibo Studio Editor, Myoibo Studio Flame Emperor stood in the main palace with his eyes closed. He spared a portion of his mind to sense the space ripple around Luo Feng's spaceship. Any ripple would alert him. Flame Emperor thinks too highly of that human, Ba Feng Knight thought. He's a pinnacle universe master, and he doesn't need to mind that human. However, Ba Feng Knight still stood behind Flame Emperor quietly and respectfully. Flame Emperor suddenly opened his eyes. Hua! Suddenly, the biological spaceship stopped, and the golden armored figure flew out, soaked in blurry green light. God! Country transportation? Flame Emperor was startled. Did my third brother give up and prepare to leave? God country transportation was allowed in space-sealed areas. In the sacrificial tower, teleportation was not allowed, but God country transportation was. After all, the way they worked was different. This Blade River Emperor is scared, Ba Feng Knight said. He expected many great beings of other races to arrive, so he planned to run back to the human territory with God country transportation. Better for him to escape with his life, Flame Emperor whispered, grinning. Lucky him. It's because of your mercy, Ba Feng Knight said. If you attacked him and control space and time, he wouldn't even have the chance to run away. Flame Emperor looked at the scene, smiling without saying anything. Suddenly, Luo Feng waved his hands, and an ugly undying fighter appeared. He first groveled at Luo Feng, then stepped into the blurry green light. As for Luo Feng, instead of leaving, he went back to the biological spaceship and kept progressing forward. He didn't go back? Flame Emperor frowned. Why did he send a slave? Ba Feng Knight was confused as well. The first great being of another race has arrived, Flame Emperor said with a smile. In another portion of space, he saw an enormous snake with a silver belly, a dark cyan back, and 2 wings on his back. There were 9 horns on his forehead, all of which had branches that were bent. His horns wound around each other like a crown. A greenish light, mixed with dimming golden light in his eyes, gleamed coldly. He seemed to notice the gaze of Flame Emperor, so he lowered his head to show respect for Flame Emperor. Demon Wing leader of the demon race, Ba Feng Knight said. He's an ambitious and powerful universe overlord, Flame Emperor said. Suddenly, he looked in another direction and noticed an elder of the frog race with a black scepter. The elder also sensed the gaze, and he bowed slightly to show respect. Frog the Wise, Flame Emperor whispered. Both of them are exceptional, and the third one is coming. Flame Emperor looked in another direction and saw a human-like being flying toward him. There were 2 horns thicker than thighs on his head, and the horns wound around his godly body like braids. His blue eyes were like stars that could pierce through souls. This great being also bowed to him. Ma Sha Knight, Flame Emperor muttered. He has a domain-type true treasure. Against this treasure, it is the least likely that Luo Feng will escape. Ba Feng Knight said. Demon Wing leader, Frog the Wise, and Ma Sha Knight are all universe-renowned supreme beings with extraordinary skills. Demon Wing leader comes from the pinnacle race demon race. Frog the Wise is the leader of an entire race. And as for Ma Sha Knight, he has a domain-type true treasure. It'll be difficult for Blade River Emperor to flee from any of them. Flame Emperor smiled. "Third brother, prepare for the feast I designed for you," he said. Hong. Suddenly, the godly power coming out of the main palace was weakened, and the range under the space seal was reduced to 100 light-years. In the sector of the Flame God's secret region, Demon Wing Leader's body slid across a floating star fragment, and he gazed into the distance. "Blade River Emperor is supposed to be there," Demon Wing Leader said in a hoarse voice. "Blade River. All of your true treasures belong to me. Sue." He teleported there. "For my frog race, I have to get the true treasures from Blade River Emperor." The Elder of Frog Race whispered and teleported himself toward the publicized location. "I have a domain-type true treasure," said Marsha Knight, "and if I have a soul-type true treasure and a flying palace-type true treasure, even Universe Masters will find it difficult to kill me." Marsha Knight caressed his horns and went away. The news Flame Emperor let out was made known to the entire universe. Because it was so well known, ordinary Universe Knight didn't dare meddle. The first 3 who arrived were all Universe Overlords. The biological spaceship slowed down and stopped. "The space seal is gone?" Luo Feng stood in the space and saw the mist permeating. "Why did my second brother stop the space seal?" Luo Feng closed his eyes and started to feel his surroundings. His Mosha body could sense the space as well as Universe Knight's. He inspected along the direction toward the lands of the Flame God race and could distinctively feel that the space ripple 100 light-years around him was stopped. Not stopped, he realized, but shrank. "No matter what you've done, you've saved me 100 years." Luo Feng waved his hands and took back the biological spaceship. He teleported himself. A giant snake shadow appeared. Teleportation ripple. Demon Wing Leader's greenish eyes glinted with a thrill. He, Frog the Wise, and Marsha Knight showed up in different places and couldn't sense the others' teleportation. Besides, Demon Wing Leader was the closest to Luo Feng. To Universe Knights, they were only able to sense the teleportation ripple that was 1,000 light-years close to him. It must be him. Demon Wing Leader shook his wings and tail and teleported himself toward Luo Feng. Luo Feng arrived at the periphery of the space-sealed area. "My second brother narrowed the range." Luo Feng stood in the space pervaded by mist and looked back. "Have those other races arrived?" "Whatever." Luo Feng flew into the space-sealed area like a beam of light. Hong. Just as Luo Feng was flying into the space-sealed area, Demon Wing Leader showed up and saw the shadow in the distance. "Human Blade River." Demon Wing Leader transmitted his hoarse voice with his godly power. "Sue." Demon Wing Leader flew forward. Luo Feng kept flying in the secret region in near light speed and looked back at Demon Wing Leader who was chasing him. "You won't catch me," Luo Feng said with a glance. "Human Blade River, you can't run away." Demon Wing Leader roared as he chased him. Instead of worrying about him, Luo Feng kept flying at near light speed. He had already hit his fastest speed. If he reached light speed, he would enter the Dark Universe. The coordinates in the Dark Universe around the lands of the Flame God race were concealed, and it would be squandering his time if he entered the Dark Universe. Law Domain. Demon Wing Leader suddenly performed Law Domain, and everything for 60 million miles around him was trapped in Time Law Domain. including Luo Feng. Hong Luo Feng burned his godly power and maintained his speed. A simple law domain is useless, Luo Feng told Demon Wing leader behind him. Suddenly, two powerful ripples appeared, which shocked and terrified Luo Feng. No, he realized. Other hunters. Demon Wing leader sensed something wrong and looked back as well. Frog the Wise and Ma Sha Knight were flying toward them. They teleported themselves and arrived at the periphery of the space-sealed area, and they both went into the area and started to chase Luo Feng. 3 universe overlords were running after Luo Feng. However, none of them could teleport themselves in the space-sealed area. Ha ha. Frog and Demon Wing. This is the space-sealed area. Ma Sha Knight guffaw. Your law domain is only able to affect Blade River Emperor. It's not enough to trap him and kill him. It seems that I'm the lucky one after all. And the soul-type true treasure belongs to me. 90 million Sand River domain, build. Ma Sha Knight's voice resounded around Demon Wing leader and Frog the Wise. In the enormous, spherical area were countless grains of sand, and it was indestructible. Though each grain of sand was weak, when they were combined, they could easily annihilate some universe knights. Damn it! Demon Wing leader growled. He was furious. Ma Sha, the true treasures belong to me, too. Ma Sha Knight, don't be so selfish. Frog the Wise said, glaring at Ma Sha Knight behind him. But Ma Sha Knight was infuriated. They're mine, he shouted. They belong to me. Damn Frog. You dared attack me. It's useless. Your soul attack techniques can hardly affect me. I'll stop wasting my time on you two. Human Blade River, die. Your treasures are mine. Hong. Under Ma Sha Knight's manipulation, each grain of the sand was glowing and dashing at Luo Feng, and their power kept multiplying as they gathered. They formed a giant sand whirlpool and raced toward Luo Feng. Flame Emperor watched it all from his main palace. Third brother, he said, don't blame me for losing your true treasures. You're the one who wants the Force armor.